Welcome back to Ulricehamn. The women's relay teams just preparing for their first relay since we saw them in action in Switzerland, in France, sorry, in La Clusaz. Slightly unusual course there, Mike, with the change in, well, a lack of snow, really, wasn't it, that determined where the course could go.
Yes, it was, and a much more difficult course than here in Sweden. And as maybe with the men's race, we could well see a tighter race here, although Norway always seem to be the nailed-on favourites.
Well, it's a strong-looking Norwegian team. The only prominent member missing, of course, is Johaug, who is currently on a ban. But Norway have a large pool to draw from, and they've got some fantastically fast skiers in there. United States with Randall, Caldwell, Sargent, Guinea. It's going to depend on what Elizabeth Guinea can do, I think, to determine where they finish up today. So, Norway wearing one, Finland wearing two on the far side. Near the camera, Sweden, the home team, with Ida Ingmarsdotter. Good start from her, keeps herself nice and clean. United States with Rosie Brennan taking the first leg. That's USA 1. Zambalova for Russia. Rocheva, Neveskaya and Soboleva wearing bib number 5, and already Norway and Sweden opening up a little bit of a gap in the first couple of 100 metres as the four laufers come back into the stadium. What an opportunity for the local club skiers, Mike, to open the World Cup tracks every day.
Oh, so good. And well, the anchor leg for Sweden, in fact, this is where she was born and brought up. This is her club, although she now lives up closer to Falun. But it's brilliant. Has been a good ski club down here, but they get less snow down here traditionally in the south of Sweden.
So no surprise to see Norway with Ingvild Østberg leading the way in the early stages of the women's relay. What a race so far. Heidi Weng called in to take the second leg for Norway. Østberg the fastest on the first leg, but only opening up a second or so over the Swedes, who weren't going to let them go. It was good effort from Ingmarsdotter, and now Sofia Henriksson is on course for Sweden. Slinde for Norway too in second place, and actually Lotte Weng, I think, racing in the second team for Norway, having taken the first leg, so two cousins. Bøhler, Bjørnsen down in 5 and 6, 18 seconds. It's quite a big margin, Mike.
It is. I think Heidi Weng, she was handed over to, as you said, just ahead, but she really has put the pressure on. What are we, only 1.5 kilometre, and she's creating a lot of damage to the rest of the teams.
Two Swedish teams, as you might have picked up on, and Emma Viken is in Sweden too. Rydqvist and Sundling. It's a strong-looking squad, but we've got Kalle and Falk taking legs 3 and 4 for Sweden 1. And of course, Kalle was the heroine of the Olympic relay, where Sweden finally got the better of Norway. Actually, Norway ended up down in 5th position, and it was mostly about skis. But Charlotte Kalle, the most tremendous effort out in Sochi in 2014 to win.
That's got to be one of the most memorable moments, the damage, the amount of time she pulled back on the second lap, and as you say, taking them all the way up to the gold medal from out of the medals, really. Was incredible.
So a little burst coming in from Heidi Weng. Is that the damage needed? Norway with Astrid Jakobsen, the former sprint world champion, on leg 3, and then Marit Bjørgen to wrap it up. Once you've let Norway go, you don't often see them again.
And then, of course, both Norwegian teams up the front. I'm pleased at Congress this summer when they said, no, we're not going to allow teams 3 and 4, and sometimes, well, we used to have 5. Nowadays, you only are allowed to enter 1 second team. And Slinde is up front at the moment, well, second place.
Norway 1 leading with Heidi Weng, who is, of course, the World Cup leader. Yeah, it was interesting listening to what the Pierre Mingeret had to say, who took over from Jörg Kapol. and saying that one of the priorities was to maintain the classic technique. So they're thinking of ways of doing that, and they've already insisted on shorter pole length. And the other thing was to try and make sure that one or two teams do not totally dominate the World Cups. How they do that, I'm not sure. But financially backing those teams that are on the second tier is one way.
I think that's great. A lot of money, like biathlon, they put a lot of money into the teams. Why not give some advantage to the poorer teams? Let them have well, they'll never have an equal playing field, but quite, when the budgets are so huge for some of the teams. But an initiative like that, I think, will certainly help. But look at Heidi Weng. She's got all the power that she showed in the Tour de Ski and all the desire that she always has when she's racing.
Well, a slightly unusual technique, but that's a result of having clister on the base of the skis rather than stick wax. No one seems to be able to get any glide. Heidi Weng didn't have any problem whatsoever staying in the track. That is an indication of strength. It's also an indication of good technique, but you have to be strong both upper and lower body to do that.
I would love to see Heidi Weng again on that hill, because it was just tiny little strides. It was like really short, sharp uphill running. She certainly wasn't sliding. She was just compressing down to get the grip, and it worked beautifully.
Yeah, it reminds me, and I'm winding the clock back a bit here, back to 87, when the World Championships were held in Oberstdorf in Germany, and there was a road bridge that they'd built, and it was incredibly steep. And I think Thomas Vasberg was the only man that managed to stay in the tracks going up and over this hill. He got the biggest cheer of the day because everyone there knew exactly what it took to do it.
And everybody can do it. Now, what about the Slovenian team in Vizna? They're in the distance, third, fourth place at the moment. It's a great start for the Slovenian team. Well, Weng is really destroying the rest of the nations here.
Yeah, this is a handy lead. A very, very handy lead indeed. Slind for Norway 2 in second place. Vizna for Slovenia 3. Henriksson of Sweden in 4. Sweden, remember, as I mentioned, with Kaller and Falk taking legs 3 and 4. If they'd started leg 3 alongside Astrid Jakobsen of Norway, you would have fancied their chances of taking the race to the line, but not giving away 20 seconds. They just cannot afford that. But there's the advantage of putting the stronger skier on the second leg. That's what the Norwegian men tried to do, but it didn't work for Sundby.
It didn't. I think he tried to get rid of the rest of the nations, and it was only the very final part where he managed to double pole ahead of the rest of the world.
Ida Sargent for USA 2. USA 1 have Sadie Björnsson on the second leg. They've got Elizabeth Stephen and Jessie Diggins, of course, who's won herself 2 World Cups this season. What have we got? Of all the World Cups, Mike, Norway have won 9, Sweden 5, all coming from Nielsen. USA 2, Finland, Russia 1. And I don't think the Swedes have had a successful woman, anyone as successful as Nielsen, since Marie Helen Westin.
That rings a bell. There's Rydqvist as well, who
never reached those dizzy heights.
No.
Nielsen on course to win the Sprint World Cup this year. She's not in the relay team this week. She'll be saving herself for the World Championships. I think Sweden's saying, OK, you are all about the individual races. They desperately want a crystal globe.
And if only she was a climber, the final brutal climb on the Tour de Ski, that didn't suit her style, didn't suit her technique. Maybe she'll go away and work on that this summer, make herself the strongest climber. But look what Weng is doing now. That's a huge gap, over 20 seconds now. And interestingly, Germany are coming back into it. Slovenia just beginning to suffer there, and well, third in this queue. And of course, United States coming back into it. Sophie Caldwell.
Now, if you were Astrid Jakobsen of Norway, would you rather have this 20-second lead, or would you like to be in the bunch where you can get protected for your effort on leg number 3?
On a selfish basis, I think I'd rather be in a pack, but because this is now going to be hard work for Jakobsen, she's going to have to hold this lead, or it gives hope to the rest. If their times, or if they're being given times that are positive, closing the gap, it's going to be hard work for Jakobsen, but It's a wonderful, huge lead.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the next time Weng and Bjørgen go head-to-head, with Weng now looking to be fully recovered from the Tour de Ski, and we know that Bjørgen's just picking and choosing her races for the season, so we're not going to see Bjørgen unless she's on very good form. Weng, of course, wants to secure the overall World Cup as well as take some honours at the World Championships. I still think I'd favour Bjørgen at the World, simply because she's raced less.
Well, it's 5 weeks since she had a World Cup race, and of course she does the damage. She comes here and looks so strong, but the rest of them were tired, still are tired, I think, from the workload at the Tour de Ski.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see Heidi Weng's time on this lap. The first leg runners just a slightly shorter distance because of the set out of the start, as we see Sweden just moving up into runners-up position.
Caldwell's really attacking, and Germany is so good to see Steffi Bühler, 36 this year, but she's having a fantastic leg for Germany. Sorry, Victoria. No, Steffi Bühler. What I've noticed in the crowds, there are so many kids out in the woods loving this. Isn't that a great way to spend a Sunday? Watching the best cross-country skiers in the world.
Well, you can tell how low that crouch was. She was really looking for every millisecond. Into the second exchange, and Norway won pretty much out of sight. This has been a devastating leg from Heidi Weng, and we saw this in La Clusaz, Mike. You know, she's not short of guts, Heidi Weng. She's a very, very talented skier. It's incredible how many times she finished on the podium before she eventually got a World Cup win, but she's come of age this year. She hands over to Jacobsen of Norway, who will take the next five kilometres, and then of course they've got Marit Bjørgen, who is still the best ever cross-country female skier we've ever seen. So it's hard to see Norway getting beaten at this stage. But we said that in the Olympics in Sochi.
Not quite the same waxing conditions as you had there, but it is a huge lead, and they must be feeling very confident right now.
"27 minutes 20 on the clock. We're on to the third leg of the women's 4x5 relay here in Ulricehamn, and as is so often the case, Norway 1 are out on their own. Astrid Jacobsen, a brilliant sprinter, 5, 6, 7 years ago, now a very, very strong endurance athlete, is trying to hold off, and it's Sweden who are starting to make the charge. Charlotte Kalla, who had a great individual race the other day, looking to show the fans what she can do.
Well, look at Kalla. My impression was that the race was kind of over at the hand over third leg for Jacobsen, but Kalla, of course, is a missile. When she really wants something, she fights so hard.
Yeah, this is a reminder of course, of Sochi, where Kalla did the damage and put Sweden into the gold medal position. She started this leg some 18 seconds off the leaders, and by my reckoning she's taken a second and a half out of Astrid Jacobsen already. So it is possible that she could close it all down. 3.5 kilometre loop, 1.5 kilometre loop to be completed. There's a big climb that they're on now. This is the biggest of the climbs, so should the chasers be together, they might choose this as an option for getting away on the final leg. But Kalla actually showing her class here, opening a little bit of a gap up on team number 11. That's Norway 2 with Ragnhild Haga.
Haga sandwiched in between the Slien sisters, of course. Silje taking the second leg.
Nice cornering from Astrid Jacobsen, and the mist actually helping the Norwegians, because although she's not that far ahead, she is almost out of sight.
Look at Calla, this is real impetus. She knows she has to try and close the gap early on, but will she suffer for all this early exertion? And without a doubt, it's putting poor old Jakobsen under some kind of tension, some kind of fear, knowing full well that they're closing the gap.
Charlotte Calla, who comes from what they call a one-factory town, and every time she's racing, everyone downs tools because she is such an example. It all started back in Vancouver in 2010 when she won the 10-kilometre there. Now let's have a look at the time margin. 18 seconds was the margin at the start of this leg, and it certainly looks as though Calla's getting a little bit closer. She is. It's over 10 seconds, but it's not 18. She goes through at 13.8. The Americans have gone with her. Good work from Elizabeth Stephen. And America, of course, have Jessie Diggins, two-time World Cup winner this year. 5 kilometres freestyle is her forte.
As she said, somehow this is my distance, 5 kilometre. And it wouldn't be great to see the Americans get themselves up onto the podium. They must believe, in fact, that's they've come into this season believing that they can take medals in relays, and of course, as they've proved twice now, winning World Cup 5 kilometres.
Germany still with a chance with Victoria Karl. Sandra Ringwald, what do you make of her form this year, Mike? She takes the ankle leg for Germany.
Yeah, she's been good. She's a very aggressive skier, 26-year-old now, and I think they've got safe hands in Ringwald. Good ankle leg. And Victoria Karl, remember in La Clusa, she fell in the individual race, damaged her ribs, couldn't take part in the relay, and they really needed her today, and she really has done a great job so far.
Yeah, she seems to be closing down on the leaders.
Well, Slovenia beginning to suffer.
Leah Einfalt for them. Slovenia in 5th place at the second exchange, but she's on her own, and it's so difficult to get the optimum performance when you're fighting on your own. You really need to be in there with the others, benefiting from the slipstream. Having said that, Jakobsen's still doing a pretty good job, Mike. It's nice to see she's working even on the downhill sections. The temptation there is just to put the skis parallel and glide down, get a bit of recovery.
Well, I think she got the fear of her life when Calla was closing down so quickly, but I think that Jakobsen has reacted and really put the pressure on.
Any impression on who's got the best set of skis on? Which team have got cracked the wax, as they say?
This course, it's so warm, the snow's so wet, it's difficult to tell, and it's such an easy course. They can free skate like this all the way down these descents.
Long descent. They're through the halfway stage on this leg now, over 2.7 kilometres, so starting to wind it up. The last kilometre's never too bad because you know you're nearly home. Little like interval sessions. The first 2 are agony, 3 and 4 are okay. The last one, it's all out.
Well, Elizabeth Stephen is having a great run. She's not frightened to take the lead of the chasing group. And Calla, well, she really has attacked so hard from the start. Needs a little breather. Maybe she'll try and attack a second time.
Yeah, the American example is exactly what Pierre Mongrain wants to see. You know, he wants to see those nations that were struggling to get anyone in the top 15 actually challenging the best in the world. And I think the American women in particular have done better than any other team.
They've got this I think they're the tightest team spirit, and they all want to share success. A difficult thing to do in teams, but they've managed to gel together and complement each other and race for each other so well.
You think the spirit is the key, or is there something else in their magic?
I think in the American ingredient at the moment, it's self-belief, positivity and team spirit. You know, they're all encouraging each other as well as, of course, tough training. What surprised me is they don't spend too much of the summer together. I thought they must have training camps everywhere together all the time, but they don't. They all go their own ways. It's a
big country.
It's quite surprising. Of course, they go to the snow farm in New Zealand as a team, and that does gel them back together.
Yeah, that's a fantastic venue for training on South Island, just outside Wanaka. Cadrona, I'm sure a few of you have done some alpine skiing in Cadrona. Look across the valley and the snow farms on the other side.
Didn't see what happened, sorry to to Elizabeth Stephen there, but she lost quite a bit of time. Maybe off camera she tripped and fell, didn't see it.
So 3.5 completed now for Astrid Jakobsen. 1.5 kilometers to go. 3.5, 4 minutes probably for that amount of time. So they should be through just shortly after the 38-minute mark, and the margin back to 14. So Jakobsen's done well over the last kilometre. Kalle, Haga, Karl have got to share the lead if they want to close that 14 down. One of these skiers will not be able to do it on their own.
Well, I like the way that Kalle took a breather, a little breather. Now she's trying again. It's tangible. Jakobsen in sight now. 14 seconds. Jakobsen's done well, hasn't she, career-wise, to be a top-class cross-country skier and to go through most of her doctor studies and work in the wards.
Isn't her mum a doctor as well?
I think so. Father a lawyer, I think.
Now she had that allergy to wheat, and that was one of her secrets to success, working out exactly what the best diet is for her.
It looks like it's working.
It's certainly working today, and the fact that it looks at the moment as though she's going to hand a cushion of what? A minimum of 10 seconds to Marit Bjørgen. Less than a kilometre to go now for Astrid Jakobsen. Charlotte Kalle, all credit to her. She's done so much work, but did Sweden need her on the anchor leg? Then again, would Hanna Falk have lived with the pace that they've set on this third leg? Hanna Falk, of course, lined up to take the final leg for the home team, beaten by the Norwegians in the men's race. Can they put it to rights in the women's 4x5?
Jakobsen must, in the back of her mind, think, well, I'm handing over to Marit Bjørgen. I don't really need a big gap, but I best try and keep hold of this 14 seconds.
Bjørgen winning yesterday or 2 days ago with a margin of, was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday. It seems like 48 hours ago. Yesterday for Bjørgen, beating Palmakoski by 10 seconds. Talking of Palmakoski, she's obviously racing for Finland and taking the final leg, but we've seen nothing of the Finns. Last time we checked the scoreboard, they were a minute behind, and they've got Laura Mononen on leg number 3 at the moment, so they're not going to see any of the action up the front.
I think really the team was kind of disrupted. They had to put Ropinen in, taking the place of Niskanen, who isn't well today, and that lost them contact on the first leg, lost them 40-odd seconds, and they've been out of it since then. What a pity Weng had such a strong leg, just because this gap hasn't opened, it's closed a little, and it would have been a tight race like the men's had all the teams been together.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but give credit to Jakobsen where it's due. She's done all the work on her own, and actually Charlotte Kalle needed a little bit more help from those around her. Would have been difficult for Ragnhild Haga, who's for Norway too. She doesn't want to help the Swedes get any closer to Norway 1.
That is so true. I wonder if she was briefed that way. I think you're right. This is a very tough job for Jakobsen. It's a lonely race. It's not a hostile environment, but it is in Sweden, and yeah, she's had to really work for this lead.
Team tactics being used, perhaps, I'm not sure, it's certainly not as evident as it was in the closing stages of the Tour de Ski, where both Norway and Russia were playing games with the points there. Kalle gets a huge ovation as she comes into the stadium. Definitely the #1 in Sweden, and they'll be keeping their fingers crossed for her performances in Lahti in the World Championships. Back end of February for the cross-country World Championships, and of course the ski jumping and Nordic combined as well. Marit Bjørgen is ready to go. The final leg, 5,000 metres between Norway and yet another relay win. They won in La Clusaz by a margin of 50 seconds. I'm not sure Bjørgen's going to be able to wind it up to that much, but I would be very surprised if she threw away that 15-second advantage. Sweden in second, Germany third, Norway 2-4. Final stages of the women's 4x5, and Marit Bjørgen has been on course for less than a minute and still powering away. Does she look any different to when we sat next door to her in 2006 at the Torino Olympics, Mike, and we both were astonished at how broad those shoulders were, how powerful she looked.
Can you believe that? That was 11 years ago and nothing has changed. She's still destroying everybody in races. Same build, life has changed a lot for her, but still leading races.
Yeah, now a mother, of course, and enjoying that side of life. Fred Burr-Lundberg, her partner, former athlete himself, he's doing a lot of... He's the home husband while Marit is away racing. But I think he'll be delighted that she's decided to pick and choose which races she does, rather than doing every single race on the World Cup.
Yeah, very, very fortunate. And I think that's good, managing those... managing her races, I think that's now the key for Marit Bjørgen, because she loses interest, her life is busy enough, and just come in and win the odd race now and again. That's how this season.
Yeah, keep the profile up.
I must say, behind Bjørgen, Parmakoski has gone off like lightning. Remember, just what, last year she wasn't so good in freestyle. She was a classic specialist. Now she's really worked on that. She can do classic to the top standard, and now freestyle as well.
Yeah, and of course Sundby, one of the inspirations there, because he was an out-and-out classic skier, worked on his freestyle, and wasn't long before he was the best in the world.
Sorry, I've got it totally wrong. Of course that's not Parmakoski.
That's Jess Diggins.
Of course it is, and it's 5k, and it's what she loves most. I just saw her from a distance, and I thought, well, is that Finland? The speed was phenomenal.
Well, the others are living with it. But if anyone's struggling, it's Kari Slind of Norway, who's at the back of that group of four. And you can see the difference when they get to the top of the rise. Everyone else keeps the work rate up, and those who are struggling just ease off, and suddenly the gaps appear. Bjørgen drifts wide on the corner, but that's largely due to the speed that she carried into it. And the rest are still to appear out of the mist. Here they come, a train of four, led by Jessie Diggins of the United States, one of the outstanding athletes of the year so far. Nice cornering from Diggins. I suspect she's got a fair amount of Alpine experience from the way she took that corner.
Look, beautiful, beautifully balanced. Do you know what? Marit Bjørgen is not relaxed. She knows that she's got a pack on her case.
Yeah, but she took 10 seconds out of everyone in the individual freestyle 10-kilometre.
But she's not looking for me as relaxed as normal. Normally you see a little more ease in each one of those compressions. It's quite tense for me. Still strong, nobody can match that strength. The uphill climbing, the skate too, so powerful. Now she's relaxing a little more.
Interesting how many of the top skiers actually started as outstanding sprinters, and when Bjørgen first came on the scene, no one could touch her over the shorter distance, and then slowly but surely she converted into the world's best endurance athlete.
Yeah, incredible. Look at this. Of course, Diggins has gone for the attack, but they've lost 10 seconds on Bjørgen already. It's a brutal pace up front.
Yeah, I wonder whether Bjørgen will ease up when she sees exactly how much time she's got at the end of the 3.5-kilometre loop. I suspect that the coaches will be able to pass some information, but the noise so loud here in Ulricehamn that in the individual race yesterday they were all saying I couldn't hear a word that the coaching team were trying to tell me.
And you just often, as a coach, you have to write those instructions down. It's the only way you can get your message to your athlete.
Norway 2, Slind has now definitely dropped off the chasing group, so we've got one leading. That, of course, is Marit Bjørgen. Behind her, we've got Germany, Sweden, the United States, but it's the USA who've done much of the donkey work. And now Jess Diggins, when she hears that she's 10 seconds further back from Bjørgen, she's got to think about how do I win the race for second, rather than how do I catch Bjørgen.
Well, I think we almost saw her brain. She looked left, she looked right, trying to figure out, well, listen, I'm trying to close the gap. It's not working, and maybe she does have to think of plan B now.
It's got to become tactical, Mike, and you know, I'm sure it's not in Diggins' nature to say I'm not going to win this one, so I've got to focus on something else. But if she wants to win that race, she cannot afford to lead all the way to the stadium. She just won't win the sprint.
It's interesting, but she is the out-and-out 5-kilometre freestyle athlete in this field. All right, alongside Marit Bjørgen. I wonder if she realises that the others are going to stick with her. I think she will have to think through another strategy.
But it's an easy course, Mike. What have we got? 147 metres of vertical climbing. That's 53 less than we had in the men's race, and that was easy enough.
It doesn't come much easier for this in the women's field. It's a lot easier than it was down in La Clusaz when Norway took that victory by what? Well, it was actually
50 seconds, I think,
50.
in the women's. Yeah, 50 seconds.
Oh, 50, of course, yeah.
Yeah, at one stage it looked as though it was going to be about 2 minutes, but the rest rallied. Diggins has a look over her shoulder to see who's still with her. She won't be happy that Hannah Falk is still there, and she'll know just how dangerous Sandra Ringvald can be. Now, in terms of slipstream, Mike, as in a bike, the percentage for the person in third position, the percentage of less work that you have to do is greater than the person in second. So Ringvald actually is in the ideal position and has been all the way through this last leg.
Very much. The Norwegian coach not able to speak, just showing the instructions, showing the gap back to the chasing group. As you say, wouldn't hear a thing. Hannah Falk, interesting. So this is her home tracks. This is where she learned to ski. And it's a local club, but she's more of a sprinter. She's not, you know, she really is. All her big results have been in sprinting. Well, this 5K race, really, you could classify it as a bit of a sprint.
I tell you what, the Swedes will be disappointed in hindsight that Nielsen wasn't available to race, hasn't really fully recovered from her efforts in the Tour de Ski. It was an astonishing effort from Nielsen, because had she been there, I think Sweden with Hannah Falk might have been right on the tail of Marit Bjørgen. Bjørgen 3.5 completed, 1.5 to go, 46 minutes on the clock. It's going to be around a 50-minute race today. Might be even quicker than that if Marit Bjørgen puts her foot down. But there's absolutely no reason to do that now.
No, so yes, maybe what, just over 4 minutes left, and that's a comfortable lead. So the real, unless she falls, you never know. Is she tired from yesterday? Probably a little, but it's not a factor.
We were talking about her family earlier, Mike, and it has to be said she's managing that situation incredibly well. I do wonder how the Bjørndalens are going to get on. Of course, Bjørndalen married now to Daria Domracheva, and of course they've got a young kid with them as well. So very difficult with both of them racing on the tour.
And the mother-in-law there all the time. So I hope he gets on well with the mother-in-law, because she is queen babysitter. And mind her, look at this, Germany not shy at all. Sandra Ringvald, no fear to take the lead now. And in fact, I think that's sensible from Jessie Diggins. Her strategy wasn't working. She could not get rid of Sweden nor Germany. Let them do the work now, and use that magic sprint that she has.
We're just looking at the athletes behind Bjørgen. This group of three, I can tell you, as we see a break coming in from Hannah Falk, and she's gone incredibly early with 1,400 metres remaining. Diggins yesterday finished 7th, Falk finished 8th, Ringvald finished 10th, and Ringvald was 55 seconds behind. Diggins and Falk were separated by only 1.5 seconds. So it's an incredibly even match challenge here.
I think that's a real pity for America, because Jessie Diggins was taken by surprise there. She wasn't able to react. Falk is a sprinter out and round, and she was caught a little sleeping there.
What is the race distance on the sprint? Around 1,400 metres. That's what's going through her head at the moment. I'm the best at this distance, and that's why she's gone. The difference is, though, she's already done 3.5K, so she's not as fresh as she is at the start of a sprint race.
I'm impressed with the bravery of Falk. Is it the right way? Is it the right move on the chessboard? Well, Ringvald slowly pulling back, and that will bring Jessie Diggins back as well.
Less than a kilometre to go now for Marit Bjørgen as she heads back towards the stadium.
Diggins is coming back.
Yeah, she's grinding it out. I'm not sure her skis are quite as good as they've been on the races where she's won, but she has gone back into 3rd place. Ringvald demoted back into 4th now at the moment, and still Hannah Falk of Sweden is hanging on in there. It was a bold move from her, but I think she might have gone a fraction too early.
Well, the advantage, this is where she was brought up. These are the tracks she learned her trade on, and she desperately wants this podium, or the silver.
I must say, Mike, I haven't seen the Swedes fight like this since they raced in Falun, and they got a fair amount of success there. Of course, Charlotte Kalla was fantastic, but when they race at home, they seem to be a different animal.
Very much, and it's the pride, isn't it? Has Falk gone too early? Diggins is trying to go wide. She can't get past yet.
Look how relaxed Ringvald is, sitting back in fourth position. She's not getting involved. She's just skiing at the same steady pace all the way, so she's not out of it. Don't worry if you're a German fan. I think Ringvald will have something to give in the closing stages.
And they will be aware what happened in the men's race, the best line into that stadium.
And I can tell you what, they're closing down on the race leader with the pace they're setting now. Bjørgen got the information that she was 25 seconds clear, and she's very much been in cruise mode since then. But with Falk working her guts out, she has closed down to, what, less than 100 metres between first and second now. Norway are going to win this unless something drastic happens to Bjørgen. But will it be Sweden, America or Germany in second place? Nothing between as they come into the stadium.
Jess Diggins there, she got her strategy, her line a little wrong there. She doesn't really want to be where she is right now, but can she come back from this?
Remember, it's a left-hand turn into the home straight, which will be coming up as soon as they drop off this little climb, and that is where the Norwegians won the men's relay. Will it be the same for second place in the women's? Bjørgen is almost home and dry, 20 metres to go. It's Falk who leads round the final corner, but she's having done to her exactly the same as Halvorsen had in the men's race, and she hasn't got the speed down the home straight. It's Ringvald who's coming through. Germany in second, Sweden still in third, and America raced off the podium. But what a fabulous race. Best relay, I think, of the season, and it was made by the race for second place. Well, Germany, sensational. Ringvald, the calmest, the coolest competitor over that final 1.5.
Oh, boy, that was brilliant from the German team, from Ringvald, experienced. What about the American team? Jess Diggins, she was so tense in that final sprint. She was so worried that she got the wrong line, and that's a real pity for the American team. On paper, we'd have said silver medal.
Yeah, a little kiss on the cheek between the Norwegian team members. We've done it again, we've done it before, we'll do it again in the future, no doubt. But Germany absolutely overcome with emotion with their second place, and so they should be. Sweden in third. Here's the race for six, and it looks as though Parmakoski of Finland's going to get it. She does, just ahead of Slovenia.
Well, look at Parmakoski's time. Actually, that time is only 4 seconds slower than Marit Bjørgen's time for Parmakoski, so fantastic skiing once again.
So the two fastest yesterday are the two fastest again today. 50.33.3, the winning time for Norway won. Germany delighted with second place. We haven't seen them up there for a long, long time. I think we have to go back to 2002. And Sweden in third place. United States too, somewhat off the pace, over a kilometre behind that 3:03. Well, there's the shot of the teams on the podium.